This is Zach with MyCodeTeacher.com, and welcome to iPad video number 9 of 10. This tutorial, we're going to basically finish the application with the exception of the info page, and that's going to be in tutorial 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so when you drag the icons into the soundboard that they play, and when you drag them off, they stop. And so if we also have time in this tutorial, we'll go ahead and make it so the higher in the sound box that you go, the lower, or the higher in the sound box you go, the higher the volume, the lower in the sound box you go, the lower the volume, so you can get a true mix and match sort of customized sound, which is the point of the application. And in the next tutorial, we'll work on fixing the GUI and then the About Us page. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we need to do is we just need to go to our Project Navigator. So we can go to Navigator, Project Navigator, or you can always hit Command 1, and you can find out what keys to press by looking over here. Command 1, Command 2, Command 3. And so if I get rid of this over here and then type in Command 1, it pops right up. So it's good to get used to those hotkeys so you don't always have to go to the drop down. So let's go to the Detail View Controller, and actually if we go to the .h, you'll see that I had you put some booleans here in the .h that we haven't touched yet, and so we're going to go ahead and work with those, and it saved us a little bit of typing from last time. And so let's go ahead and use those now. So if we go to the .m and we come to the touches ended, let's go ahead and go to our first sound right here, and we'll see that basically if there's an intersection between the audio box and our button, we don't have it do anything right now, but we'd like it to do something. And so what we need to do is we need to say, if the sound isn't playing, let's play it. So if the sound 1 is not playing, then we need to play it. So we'll say sound 1, prepare to play, sound 1, play, sound 1 playing equals yes. Slot 1 status dot text equals playing. And so what we're doing here is, let's make sure we put our semicolon here, is we're saying basically prepare to play, then play it, set our boolean, sound 1 playing is yes, so we know which sound is playing, and then we'll set the status text to playing so that we know that it's actually playing. Now, one of the things that we need to do is if the sound is not playing and the icon is intersecting the soundboard, let's go ahead and play it. Otherwise, if the sound is playing, it's sound 1 playing, and these are all based on the boolean values which we made right here. So if it is playing and it's not intersecting the audio board, then we need to stop it from playing. So we just say sound 1 stop. And don't forget, in a previous tutorial we went ahead and initialized the sounds as the icons were added to the board. So it's important to keep that in mind. So then we'll say sound 1 playing equals no, and we need to set our slot 1 status dot text equals stop. Okay, so now we'll view our toolbar. We'll come here to the simulator. You should be able to drag the first icon onto the soundboard and listen to it play. Okay, so we'll rotate it, make it a little larger here. And so, there we go. And now, we drag it off and it stops. So now we need to take all of our text and we need to basically change it. So take this right here, and we need to add the same text in here, but it needs to be my button 2 instead of my button 1. So I just copied and pasted, so my button 1 goes to my button 2, sound playing 2, sound 2, sound 2, slot 2, sound 2 playing, sound 2 stop, sound 2, sound 2, sound 2, sound 2. And so that's our second button, and now that'll work. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste to save time so we can get moving in the tutorial. So here's sounds 3 and 4. So I'll delete those, and then I'll paste 3 and 4. It's the exact same thing, just changing it from 2 to 3 and from 3 to 4. So here's this, and here's that. Make sure you get that all down. And let's do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And we'll paste that. So again, as you go down, you just add 1 to the button number. So let's go ahead and run this here. Bring this in here. So now we should have a little bit of a mix here. So we've got quite a bit of a mix here. Let's go ahead and mix the ocean with some seagulls. So you can see that all the sounds are working. And so you can see too, when I drag the icon off, it says stopped, and then when I put it in the audio box, it changes to playing. And so now what we need to focus on is getting the audio to increase and decrease as we move up and down the box. And so let's go ahead and go there. Now, since we're going to be moving the icon, we need to look at touches changed. Or I'm sorry, touches moved. So let's look for touches moved. And so now, what we need to do is basically, if we come down right below here, we need to say if the button is intersecting with the frame and the button is being touched by our finger, then we need to adjust the volume as we see fit. So I've come up with a little formula here, and I'll paste it in right here. So if the audio sound box is intersecting with our button and our button is intersecting with our finger, then we need to, and that's so that as touches are moving, it doesn't adjust all of them. It only adjusts the volume if our finger is moving the icon. Because what would happen is if we left it with just the audio box and the button, then of course all the buttons in the audio box would be intersecting with the audio box, and whichever icon we would move the audio for all of the icons. So we need to make sure that we specifically state that it has to be touching our finger, and it also has to be intersecting with the audio box. And so basically I've made a double. I called it volume, and I came up with this formula right here that basically gets the height and the width and divides it by 2.76, which gives us basically a range of 0 to 100. And so you can see right here I had to adjust it a little bit because it wasn't right on, most likely because we had a little bit of border left around the actual image in the storyboard, and so I had to compensate for that. In fact, let me show you right here. Drag this over here. This is our audio box, and remember we have this border right along here, so we had to compensate for that. And so then we get the volume and we set it. So let's go ahead and try out the first button, then we'll paste in all the rest here. So we'll drag, bring in the ocean, and it should be the loudest. See how it gets softer and louder. And I know it's not right on. I'm sure you can come up with your own formula, but this is the best one that I came up with, and it's I'm sure a mathematician would probably laugh at me. But this is what I came up with. It works. That's what's important. Code is an art, right? So let's go ahead and copy this, and we'll paste it 12 more times. In my sake, I'm just going to copy the code for the other 12 buttons here. Let's go ahead and paste that. And this should be audio box soundboard. So if we come down here, make sure this says audio box soundboard. Looks like a bug in my other project. Good thing I found it while doing a tutorial, right? So make sure that X is out. Okay, so get rid of that X there. Basically, you copy the first line, and again, you just change it from my button 1 to my button 2, my button 2 to my button 3, 4, 5, etc. And then sound 1 goes to sound 2, sound 3, sound 4, and then, of course, this over here, 4, 5, 6, 7. So make sure you increment all of the button numbers, and it should work. So let's go ahead and play, and we'll see how we can mix some sounds to be really awesome over here. Okay. So let's drag in the ocean and the seagulls. So you can see there's a ton of possibilities with this. It's actually a pretty neat little app. And so now, that's going to conclude this tutorial. In the next tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to fix the GUI, and then we're going to make the About Us page. And that will conclude the iPad app series. So as you can see, there's a lot of code involved and a lot of work to do, but in the end the application looks great, and hopefully by the end of next tutorial you'll have a much better understanding of the process of building an app from start to finish, and you'll have yourself a nice little iPad application. So this is Zach with MyCodeTeacher.com, and we'll see you in the next one.